Well, the White House is reportedly looking to play a bigger role in helping to rescue California Governor Gavin Newsom from the recall effort, which goes to a vote next month. Let's dig deeper with one of the men behind the recall who got it started. Randy Economy is a senior advisor for the Recall Gavin Newsom effort. He's also now advising former Congressman Doug Osay's campaign. Randy, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Good morning.
It's definitely picking up some steam, huh? So we're hearing now that that the White House wants to get more engaged in this. Now, if this is true, is this like the panic button? Is Gavin Newsom going to the panic button with respect to this recall?
He has hit the panic button. He has hit the fan. He's right now on a bus tour up and down California, talking to his base of voters to convince them to don't take this election lightly. But of course, he's trying to hide under the skirt of his best friend, Kamala Harris, the vice president. He's also trying to rely upon Joe Biden. He's wanting Joe Biden to be able to come out here and hit the campaign trail with him. And I think we welcome that, including my pick for governor, Doug Osay, former member of Congress. I mean, this campaign is wild. Yeah. It's historic, and we're just getting started.
Randy, last time that California went through this in 2003, there were like 100 people on the ballot. How many people actually at this point, update our audience, how many people have actually made the ballot for this?
Well, I think there's a total of 46.
46.
46. So it's a compact field, to be honest with you. I mean, you've got a lot of Democrats running, and Republicans, and independents, and libertarians. So this is not a Republican coup. Mm-hmm. And I know that Gavin Newsom and all of his hunchmen within the California Democratic Party labeled me and members of the campaign organization months ago that we were doing a hostile political coup taking over California government. And what we're doing is we're using democracy as legally allowed under the process.
Hey, look,
the recall.
I wish we had the ability to do that here in New York, but we don't. So, look, let's talk about this involvement on the part of the president and the vice president. Sure. The White House will have an impact on fundraising, and not that Joe Biden can draw a crowd or anything, but it will have some impact. Are there concerns about the president coming or Vice President Harris coming to California for him?
I think they need to come, and I think they need to rescue their boy. And I think what they're going to see is a very angry bear. Which is the California State Bear, and the electorate has been poked way too many times by the White House and by Kamala Harris.
Right.
And so we say, come on out, guys, and you're going to see the ferociousness of the people of this this great state of California who have done the impossible thus far by getting this thing even on the ballot. I mean, we were laughed at. We were ridiculed. I mean, the White House came after me, came after Orrin Heatley and Mike Netter and everybody involved with the campaign since day one.
Right.
And we're still standing.
Yeah.
And now we're on the precipice of an election that's going to change American politics.
Now,
and I'm just very blessed to be able to still be working on this thing.
Now, Randy, according to the LA Times, new polling out, likely California voters are now almost evenly split on this recall. But Randy, we know Democrats in California, with the ballot harvesting, with the unions, the public employee unions, the activist groups, they have a big get out the vote infrastructure. How is the GOP organizing at this point to try to compete with that? I mean, you have to be realistic about the fact that they do have an apparatus there. What's your plan to try and compete with that?
Well, again, we don't really care what the actual GOP does. We care what the people of California do in this campaign. Mm-hmm. And first of all, the California Republican Party here, I know that they want to be actively involved. So does the California Democratic Party. And there's probably 22 different political action committees and government PACs that are involved, raising tens and if not hundreds of millions of dollars thus far if you combine all the money. So this is the most expensive campaign that you'll see in this off-election cycle. And by the time everything's done, I mean, it'll be into the hundreds of millions of dollars, to be honest with you. And so, again, this is a California thing. This is between the governor and the people. And if anybody else wants to continue to butt into this particular conversation in this election, I caution them to tread lightly because, again, people are furious at this outside interference day in and day out.
One of the things that I'm hearing is that, and this going to the point about that hard left Democrat infrastructure, is that the unions in some of these groups haven't really gone all in for Gavin Newsom, that we're not seeing the level of activity in California that we have seen, let's say, if it was a regular gubernatorial election. Are you feeling that as well?
Well, the union bosses are right there working with Gavin Newsom 24/7. But the rank and file members of the unions who have been hit the hardest by his policies and his failed policies are the ones who are the sleeping giant in this campaign. And they're the ones who have had it with their own, their own bosses in their own unions who have, raped and pillaged them for years and years and years and left them with crumbs while they have lived the lavish lifestyles. And I think, they're sleeping giants in this campaign. And it's the rank and file medium union members that I think have had it as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Gavin Newsom's got a lot of problems right now. And the main problem Gavin Newsom has right now is, wait for it, Gavin Newsom. He is his own worst enemy. He continues to fail every day. He's now doing this farcical 3-city tour, bus tour, trying to galvanize attention to his, even more of his failed policies.
Yeah.
So,
and I happen to think that all the new mask mandates and other mandates in California with respect to Delta and coronavirus, I think that's going to cut against him as well. Now, let's be fair here. I know that you are advising Doug Ose's campaign.
Yes.
You've also known the person that a lot of folks feel is the leading GOP candidate, Larry Elder. You've known him for decades. So give us a fair understanding of the Republican field. Size it up for us right now in 30 seconds for me, because I got a break.
Well, Larry Elder has come into the race at the very last minute, and he's very well known. He has no experience in governing anything. And I think a lot of people within all walks of life are very concerned about his ability to walk in on day one, to be prepared. And if you look at the other candidates, some of them may be establishment Republicans or Democrats. But again, it's about experience and who has the best plan. And that's why at the end of the day, I mean, I think Larry Elder needs to show up to these debates. He needs to be transparent. He needs to be forthright in regards to what his opinions are. And he needs to stand right up there to Doug Ose and Kevin Faulkner and the others on this debate stage.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing those debates. Randy Economy, thanks for joining us. It's going to be exciting.
It is exciting. It's the greatest show in America right now.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.